Another week in the books. This one's a little bit worse than the rest, but still better than most. If you're new here, my name's Kevin, the Stoic Reseller. I buy new and used clothing from places like thrift stores and online marketplaces to sell on eBay and Poshmark for a profit. If you're into deep dives, what's sold, thrift hauls, and honest reselling advice, please do me a favor and hit the like button, subscribe, comment below, and let's jump right into the numbers. Here are the numbers. Also, if you're kind of new to this, I try to be as transparent as possible. The numbers are the numbers, and in reselling one-off items, it's really not important because like keeping it all a secret or anything. So I want to tell you exactly what I earned as an honest reseller to maybe make people who are new to this reselling thing understand what it actually takes and what all goes into it. And because I think a lot of people's numbers are just kind of, how do you say, dishonest, I suppose. So we're going to start here with the total numbers I have written down over here. So you can kind of see over here on eBay. The total was $3,311.15 in total sales. That was down 25% week over week. Net sales are down 20% to $2,044.90. We sold 101 items, which is down 1%. And our average sales price was down 24.2% to 32.78. And I'll show you the reason why that is. I had a buyer come in and purchase like a bunch of it was like a 17 item order, all items between like $4 to $7 on offers. Just clearing out like my deepest discounted items that I've had forever. So they were sending offers. I said, sure, take it all. I didn't even bother to fight it. So coming down next to the total category, or no, we'll come over to that next, but I wanted to get into the total sales. So on Poshmark, we had between 11.10 and 11.16. Poshmark, we had $1,021 in total sales, which netted us $816.80 after you subtract their 20% fee. We sold 37 items there. And then the overall between the two platforms was $4,332.15, about $1,500 less than last week. Net was $2,861.70, so that's after all fees. My cost of goods, which was just from my recent thrift trip, and if you missed those, I highly recommend you go watch it. But you'll see here it was $1,095 even. So you minus that from all that comes down to $1,766.70, which if you take the profit to the total sales, the gross sales, that is a 40.78%, which is actually really, really strong. I argue that most resellers hover under 33%, which is basically 1/3 of your gross sales is what people actually profit, because you have to factor in cost of goods, fees, shipping, all that nonsense. And if I'm actually being really like hot take here, I would argue most resellers are probably below 30% total take home. And then we sold 147 total items last week. And I believe last week we listed between Poshmark and eBay. And I actually have a secondary store, which I don't really count in the total sales because it's just kind of whatever. But we picked up 123 total items. And I think after a couple things, I think one thing had an issue where we threw it away. I kept an item and my wife kept two or something like that. I think it came out to like 100 and like, what was it, 127, 23. So it was like 118 total items listed last week. So we're definitely shredding down. I think we're around 1,250 total items in the store. Today we just listed a whole bunch, like 47 items or something like that. So, but anyways, enough with the rambling. Going back over to sales by category on eBay. So the top 5 categories was activewear pants for men. Then it was casual button-down shirts. Then it was activewear pants for women, pants for men, and activewear shorts for men. Activewear pants rose 166% to $746.23. That is 22.5% of my sales this past week. Button downs accounted for 12.66%. Women's activewear, a little over 10%. And then men's pants 8%, and then looks like activewear shorts was the second largest riser, but it only accounted for about 6.88%, or it's around 7. So, and then the one last thing I like to give to everyone is this number here. So you'll see my selling costs were 33.3% of my total sales on eBay. So that's actually pretty solid. An explanation for the lower amount of sales is possibly that I was trying to do something different to see if it would make a huge difference in how things sold. And I was trying to allow things a whole week without being promoted. So this is kind of self-inflicted. I'm kind of backtracking off that. I don't think it was working all that great, personally. I mean, as you can see, there was a huge $15,000 or $1,500 drop off in total gross sales. So I went back to my old like tiered percentage. So, anyways, yeah, let's get into the top sales. If this is your first what sold video, I only show the items that are $40 and above, and just to keep it for all sellers that these are the best items you possibly can find. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Best sale of the week were these Patagonia Nano Puff quilted insulated nylon pants. I'd never seen this item before. I've heard of them, so they were kind of on like the virtual bucket list. These were listed November 6th, and they sold November 12th. Took about 6 days, which, in kind of fairness, when you sell a $200 item in 6 days, that's pretty solid. These had very few listed, lots sold, so I knew these were just great. You can see they were in excellent condition, very high in demand, really good item. If you see them, I would strongly recommend picking them up. This would probably break my rule during like dead of summer. I think I would still pick these up just because they sell for such a high dollar amount and they're in so high of demand that I think even if you listed this in July, you might get a good sale maybe at 150 as opposed to 200, but it's still, I mean, you don't see these available very often. So you see it, pick it up. I highly recommend it. Going on to the next thing, some Nike ACG pants. Listed October 27th, sold November 13th, so it took about 17 or so days. These are pretty nice. I highly recommend. Nike ACG has been really surprising me lately with what I've been able to find and sell. A lot of it is really, really high quality, to be honest with you. But you can see, I mean, they just look like some cargo pants, but you know, sold within it for $100. So I'll take that. Really good. I highly recommend. These kind of hiking pants I buy year round, so I'm not seasonally worried about these. These, however, I am a little seasonally worried. October 30th sold November 14th, so it took 15 days. These are the Polartec High Loft fleece joggers. Again, another item that's pretty rare. I did not know Mountain Hardwear made these. My wife stole the women's version that I have found recently because these are very, very nice. These are definitely a comfortable item to have. Not very many available. Again, another situation where there's a lot sold. Seasonally speaking, if I found these in July, would I pick these up? That's a good question. I would probably say no, because I at the thrift store paid $15 for these, and in July I'm not picking up seasonal items for winter. If I pick these up in October, I would probably pick these up in September with the understanding that they might sit for slightly longer than 30 days. But I mean, maybe if we're talking like late May, June through like August, maybe not, especially if it's super priced up. So keep that in mind. Remember, I'm targeting 30 days sell. I don't want to sit on items. So Rock Mount Ranch Wear. Now this is an item I'd pick up all the time, all times of the year. This listed November 11th, sold the next day for $50. This is just a really good Western wear brand. Here's the tag. I found this probably 2 or 3 times at this point, and they have sold incredibly quickly. This sold for $50. I mean, honestly, pretty solid sale. I picked this up year round, like I said. Here's something that I probably would not have picked up in middle of summer, just because RLX generally is pretty rough. But they're more substantial pieces like this. This was like a hybrid insulated jacket. Really nice, honestly. Listed November 11th, sold on the 16th. So it sold just a few days ago. Full asking price. I mean, you can't beat it. RLX, good brand, but certainly not something that could beat seasonality. There's a lot of it available. You can buy it at TJ Maxx, Ross, stuff like that. So just be aware. Buyer beware with this brand. Now this brand, however, I buy year round as well. This sold the same day I listed it for $40, or $45. Sorry. These are John G shorts. They're groundwork half tight. John G is just a really, really good brand. I find it all the time. It's sold at REI, and I'm really not sure where else it's sold, but I definitely believe this brand is, if you see it, it's worth a pickup at all times of the year. Just such an incredible brand. I can't speak highly enough about it. This is kind of a disappointment. So it's probably because I picked this up literally in the middle of summer. This is an item that should have sold for a little bit more, but it obviously didn't. Listed it July 7th, sold November 16th. Now in July I was just trying to build my store up. I was following a different philosophy, and I've come to realize that philosophy leads to a lot of burden. So that's why now I'm doing a 30-day policy. If the item isn't going to move within 30 days, it probably isn't worth my time. But this is a great brand, Walter Sky. This is the 3D EFX insulated. This brand sells for new a lot of money. This was high quality. Someone got a deal. This was worth every bit of $100, and it sold for $50. But it did take over 4 months. So yeah, seasonally, if I found this again like right now, I'd pick it up. Found this in July, I'd probably leave it behind. Some Lululemon pants. This was the Diffract jogger. Really nice item. It was just something different I'd never seen from Lululemon before. Listed October 20th, sold November 10th. So it took about 21 days, but yeah, $40, can't beat that. Here's a Nike Windrunner jacket, listed October 23rd, sold November 14th. It took about 22 days. We were nearing that 30-day mark, but these ultralight jackets like this from Nike do really well. Just running, again, not all Nike is great, but there's a lot of Nike that is. So a lot of times, to get familiar with how to identify a good piece in the beginning, I highly recommend, if you have an outlet near you, go look at an outlet, look at the price tags, feel the materials. If you don't, then I would just highly recommend going to wherever you're going to get your items to sell online, and just look up every Nike piece. Every Nike piece should have this tag, and if you just go into eBay and type in those first 6, you should come out with something, and you make the determination. But yeah, Nike does take a long time to get familiar and comfortable with buying. It's something that I've done for a long time. So this is a piece maybe not everyone would pick up, but sold very quickly for, I believe, $45. Here is a tie, listed October 23rd, sold November 16th. So again, another one that took almost 3 weeks, or almost 30 days, but really, really good brand and a really unique pattern. I've never really seen something like this on a tie, but this was Turnbull and Asser, and one of the best brands in men's business wear or dress wear. And if you ever see anything from this brand, I just highly recommend pick it up. I priced this tie really high. It just seemed like their unique stuff sells, and I'm really happy with this sale. Let's put it that way. This Nike Tiger Woods sold for $40, listed October 21st. sold November 12th. So what are we looking at? 22 days. Um, these Nike shirts that are Tiger Woods with like the mock neck are excellent. This is like the third or fourth one I've sold in the last like 30 days, and they always sell. They always sell for a good amount. They get a ton of attention, ton of watchers, but buyer beware. They also get a lot of lowball offers because I don't think people realize the demand for these, especially customers. Customers just see it, they know they want it, but they don't realize that Nike is not producing these items anymore because Tiger Woods has his own line now and has kind of moved away from Nike. But his Nike line still commands a good amount for the right pieces. His older polos, probably not. I stick to the more like the Dry Fit Advance, the blade collar versions, these. But again, it's one of those situations where you just look it up and, make that determination for yourself. The next item is Reigning Champ. Now, this one did sadden me because I wish it was my size. I would have kept it. I like this brand a lot. Listed September 26th, sold November 16th. So you're talking 35, 40. I mean, you're talking 50, almost 60 days, right? 30, 35, 40, 51, 52 days, roughly. God, doing math on a YouTube channel, you can't be doing that. It took too long. I did accept an offer of 40. It should have sold for more, but it is what it is. I had a lighter color version. I forget what color. I think it was like a gray that sold almost immediately. Why this one sat? I think it may have been the color. Maybe people don't like this, light, like really light green. But Reigning Champ, very good brand. Has come down quite a bit. Now, if I would have found this 2 years ago, this would have been probably like an $80 hoodie that was sold within a couple days. Reigning Champ, they're not doing as much advertising. They're kind of fading out from the hype scene. But they're great. It's a very, very high quality brand made in Canada. So not Chinese garbage, not Vietnam garbage, just a really solid item. But unfortunately, it is coming down just like every other brand. But if you see it, look it up, make your own determination. I thought this would have sold a lot faster, but sometimes you're just wrong, right? There's no guarantee in reselling one-off items. So, and the last that I'm going to share with you is an Icebreaker Merino Blend button-up. I've been finding Icebreaker a lot lately, and I think the reason is because it's starting to sell at REI at the physical locations. I was surprised to see that, which is kind of wild because our Icebreaker does have their own standalone stores. So, it's nice to see it, which means that there's going to be more supply, which also means that the prices for Icebreaker might fall. Just keep a heads up. This is a brand that used to be able to be survivable. If it had a few flaws, you'd be like, yeah, no problem. But now it's got to be in good condition. If it's not in good condition, I would highly recommend just leave it. It's not worth it. But yeah, these button-up shirts do well around $40. This was listed November 5th, sold on the 12th, so it took about 7 or so days. So, yeah, there we go, guys. That's all the $40+ items on eBay. Let me get Poshmark pulled over, and I'll show you those here in a quick second. And here is the Poshmark sales. You can see some of these I took some seriously lowball offers. Like, I'm really no longer buying a lot of these items. These were personal items that had some flaws. I no longer wear any built, personally. So let's go down here. Here's an item that I showed in one of my recent thrift hauls. This is Paca. This was seriously soft. I mean, like, holy crap. Yeah, it sold very quickly. Like, if you go down here, you can see we're still in the 1300s or 13,300s, and so this sold within maybe a week and a half for $54 on Poshmark. Can't beat that. That's pretty solid. What's another cool sale? Some McCade golf pants. I've highlighted McCade before. Let's look here. Peter Millar, Crown Comfort. If you're not picking up these quarter zips, I highly recommend picking up almost everything Peter Millar outerwear. Jackets, quarter zips, things like that. Their pants, some of their pants do really well. Hoka's, probably shouldn't be need a big explanation. If they're in good size and a good price, just pick them up. Taylor Stitch waffle knit crew sweater sold for $30. That sold very quickly. This was an item I've had for over a year. Just took that. Mother's fallen off. Mother jeans has fallen off so incredibly quick. Athleta, these endless high-rise cargo or endless high-rise pant. Those are one of the few that I'm still buying, and they sell very quickly. Let's look at what the number is on this. 13,464. So, even more recent of an item. Prana pants, this Dorado, these sold within 30 days. Flint and Tinder, again, 365 pants sold within 30 days. Some Viore joggers from women. These have come down a lot in price. I priced it at I think $45, and I took this offer of 36. It's kind of weird. So it's a little frustrating, but I've warned everyone that Viore is going to go the way of Lululemon pretty soon, where you have to be very selective. That Alaskan Hard Gear brand new shirt that I kind of wish was in my size, because it looks cool and it was a really nice feel to it. I mean, what was it? It was cotton spandex. It was a really interesting shirt. So that was cool. Again, here's those EB66 pants for Peter Millar. I know there's some YouTubers that say they can get over $45. This pair here, for whatever reason, good size, had a good inseam, had 0 views on eBay in 2 weeks. So there was either something wrong with it on eBay, or the size just, no one wanted that size. But EB66 typically sells between 35 and 40 for me. And I just, as soon as I saw a $30 thing come in, I was like, yes. Janji, again, women's transit joggers. These are really good. Janji, just about everything I'm buying right now. Levi's shirt jacket, Sherpa lined and everything. This was interesting. It was, what was this? Western workwear button. I really took a chance on this. I don't know. Let's see, how old is this? Yeah, I was on a hang tab. I'm just happy to see that go. I don't know if I'd pick that up anymore. But yeah, you can see Poshmark was a little bit slower than last week as well. Very solid sales. Nothing to write home about. But Poshmark is just there to be supplemental to my eBay store and to help with expediting sales process. That's all it really is to me. I don't focus on Poshmark a whole lot in terms of making sure all the settings are right, and I don't go in there and give the best customer service and stuff like that. It's literally just, maybe I should be a little bit better at it, but it's not really worth the time. Most of my sales are on eBay, as you can see. So yeah, guys, I really hope you found that interesting. I hope you learned a couple new brands or maybe some new techniques or thought processes. Please hit that like button, subscribe, comment below what your best sell was last week. And until next time, guys, remember to never forget to rule the day.